Greetings and salutations, everybody. This is Chris Casafranca from the CADD. Chris, Angel, Dave, Daniel. You know what's up. Well, again, we're talking basketball, and I saw my buddy Dave's video. It was stellar. He started talking about the 5 best basketball dynasties of the last 42 years. And guess what? I'm 42 also, just like Dave. So I have my list too. And I'm going to talk about his list first. He had the Warriors at 5. Man, I mean, we all know about the Warriors. They've been like incredible to watch. The Splash Brothers, the defense, the passing, triangle style, pyramid of success. Like they follow all these golden principles, the inner game of tennis. The Warriors are just incredible and fun to watch. That small ball. Small ball is always fun because those buckets going from far away. And then, he had a good pick at number 4 with the Celtics. The Celtics' height and passing and intelligence. Larry Bird, went to Indiana. He just didn't fit in there, but he was a golden special player. Indiana State blessed the Celtics with a lot of abilities that, maybe Magic could match. But, yeah, the Celtics were an incredible dynasty that they fell under Magic's time. So, we know why they were at number 4. Number 3, Dave picked the underachieving dynasty of the Lakers. He had them, the middle dynasty, the before Kobe Odom, the Kobe Shaq Lakers, and obviously that tandem was probably the best ever. So that was a good number 3 pick that he had. The number 2 that he had of the Bulls, it speaks for itself, 6-0. I'll critique it and have my own list, but that just speaks for itself. His airness, we're not worthy. But we know who was worthy. It was his number 1 pick of the Lakers. Worthy got an MVP in Game 7. You could say all you want, but the Lakers got 5 in that short period, and their dynasty ended for a reason. So I'll dissect that, and now I'm going to give you my top 5, and I'm going to start with number 1. I'm disappointed that, that this happened because the Lakers should have won more than 5, and they were my number 1 dynasty. The Lakers in the 80s were incredible. The offense was fluid. The fast break was perfect. Magic could see over as soon as he got down the court. He could find it. And once the defense has slowed you down, they could still go into good half court because your guys, Kareem, great principles, understood offense, where to find his shots. He could give it up to Magic. Magic could do the same thing in the post. And then you had wing players that were efficient. Worthy could slash and cut. AC could pull up and hit. Worthy could, pull up and hit. I just mentioned him, but Scott. So, yeah, that number 1 Lakers best dynasty ever. And I'll say the next best dynasty after that is the San Antonio Spurs. And the San Antonio Spurs won 5, never in a row, because they had to compete with the Lakers. And they won against the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe. They won against LeBron and D-Wade. They won against, in different eras. So I want to give the Spurs the number 2 dynasty behind the 80s Lakers. The number 3... Man, did I really lose track of this? Okay. So, yeah, I'll say the Spurs were the number 2 dynasty. The number 3 dynasty are the Chicago Bulls. And I'll tell you why I'm rating them as the number 3 dynasty. If you look at like those Sports Illustrated covers in the 90s, there was an NBA crisis that moved in the line. There was a lack of talent. Magic had just retired from HIV. Jordan was winning, but even he got, in some trouble and left the NBA for a while. So there was this turmoil. And when the Bulls were winning, it was just, there was something missing. Kobe wasn't there yet. He's a high school kid. Shaq is, finding his way in Orlando. So the stars weren't aligned, and, Jordan was pulling his, but really, Magic was not there. Magic was not there. And we all know about, Magic. So the Bulls were the number 3 dynasty behind the Spurs from 99 to 2012 or whatever, and behind the Lakers of the 80s from 80 to 89. And 80 to 88. The number 4 dynasty of all time is the Golden State Warriors. I think they'll get one more. I think they can. I really do. It might be in Curry's like 20th season or something like that. But Curry should get 4 and, fit in nicely at that number 4 spot. And then I'm going to say Kobe's Lakers is the number 5. Kobe's Lakers and Magic's Lakers got robbed, so I'll talk about Kobe's Lakers. Shaq and him didn't get along, so they lost a couple there maybe. And then Kobe had the Achilles thing when he was having his best year, stat-wise. The year he had his best stats, he had an Achilles injury. So I'll say the Lakers with Kobe was a really good dynasty. Even though it was 5-20, could have very easily been more. Imagine if LeBron came to the Lakers 10 years ago. I mean, think about that. LeBron and Kobe. Oh my God, just think about that. So, LeBron's not on any of those dynasties yet, even though he could be the best player ever. I had him number 6 on my list, but I'm rooting for him to be the number 1. He's still got time. But that's my top 5 dynasties of all time. Yeah. So if you want me to recap it for you, number 1 was the Lakers of the 80s. Number 2 was the Spurs of, I think, the 99 to 2014, maybe 2012. Number 3 was the Bulls, the magicless NBA Chicago Bulls were the number 3 dynasty, incredible, but the Dark Ages. And my number 4 dynasty was the, who do we have there? 1, 2, 3, 4 Warriors, yeah, and then number 5 were the Kobe Lakers. Okay, not so clear. I'll try to have like a diagram board or some kind of like electronic gizmo. Maybe I'll pull up some stats on the digital display next time, be a little more high tech. So this is all ad-lib freestyle. You heard my freestyle for the Lakers recap a bit ago. You heard my freestyle for the top 5 dynasties. I gave you my top 10 NBA players. If you guys want to talk some fundamentals, I'll break that down too. And then we can always draw examples from great NBA players to kind of support the argument of like what's a good, NBA move or something like that. Anyways, peace out, late.